Hello everybody, welcome. Hope you are doing well. Got something a little unique today. For me anyways, not that unique in the grand scheme of things. It is set 75309. It's the LEGO Star Wars UCS Republic Gunship. It has 3,263 pieces, I think. I threw the box away. I know what you're thinking. Gone. Ain't got time for that. Takes up way too much space. And this was my gettins from May the 4th. So coming at you about a month late. Sorry. Better late than never though, am I right? Anyway, let's get straight into it because there is a lot to go through with this thing. First of all, the build super quickly. You start by building the floor and then you basically build the frame up for the front. Then you build the front end, this top bit. Then you sort of do the back and the doors. And finally the wings, followed by the giant cannons or missile launchers. I think they are on top. For features, all of the turrets... Nope, that's not true. Most of the turrets do rotate. You got the front ones you can rotate around. The ones on the side you can angle and articulate a little bit. You got the one on the back, which does as well. The massive missile launchers up top do not, nor do the unmanned laser turrets on the wings. They don't do anything either. You can rotate the missile belts. And they just got a little couple of Technic gears that make it so when you rotate one, the other one rotates the opposite direction. Super clever, super smooth. Well, it's not that clever, but it's smooth and it looks good. And then the cockpits are a little bit decorated. I mean, that's about it. The doors move, that's all. The missiles under the wings don't do anything. They're just sitting there chilling, but they're looking good. You can also lower the rear hatch if you want. It's just sort of barely connected in. And you can also adjust these little railings for troops to hang off of. And that's about it for functions. So at a first glance, this set looks to be a bit crap. I saw a lot of flack for it on different people's reviews and such. It's quite expensive for the piece count. A lot of people complain about the Minifigs. You gotta love the LEGO Star Wars conundrum. You got this set where people are complaining about non-unique minifigures being the Clone Commander and Mace Windu, which are basically in $20 to $50 sets. But then you've got people also complaining about the UCS Venator rumors that there will be a unique Captain Rex locked behind that set. Like, there's no winning for LEGO, so I'm good with it. I'm not a big minifigure guy. I think they're pretty cool. I like the Clone Commander, actually. Even though I think he's available in a battle pack, I think it looks really nice. Mace Windu is apparently unique because he's got some dirt from Geonosis on his... You can barely even see that. Beyond that, another one of the flaws is the printing on the display placard. It's not quite right. It says 2 missiles launchers and there's 2, it also says 2 laser turrets. There's 4, and missiles launchers is very poor grammar. If I can circle back quickly to the build, it is built across 17 building stages and I found it to be awesome. The build was really good. No part of this was repetitive. Even the wings were really great. Even though they're just duplicates, these missile launchers on top were really interesting. The way this top part connects is amazing. Also, just the shaping on the front is beautiful and I think perfect. Like, they couldn't have done a better job, in my opinion. The front-facing unmanned turrets look beautiful. And of course the exhaust vents on the back, one of my favorite features. So simple and so clean looking. I absolutely love it. Places where it's just not as good, the back door, which you don't even really see ever, so it's not that big of a deal. It just looks kind of boring. As well as the doors on the side. The windows are a little bit squared off. They could be a little bit rounder, I think, with just some tiling. Another bonus for this one, fairly minimal stickers. Some of the stickers are a bit tricky because they're huge. Also, these stickers you can see up on these top missiles are a bit of a pain to put on, but take your time and do your best. Some of the stickers are actually really tricky because they're clear backed and massive. So you've got some like stickers for 6x6 tiles, but there's printing on only like a 2x6 section. It makes it a little hard to line up. I did have to redo one, unfortunately, which thinking back to now, I could have just popped the tile off and rotated it. So that was pretty stupid. So actually, yeah. Another thing that a lot of people have said that I just wasn't quite ready for is how massive this thing is. It is absolutely enormous. On my shelf space, it fits nowhere. It sticks out on every single one. The thing is, it's not massive in any one direction. It's just massive in all directions because you've got the wingspan and then it sticks out. So you have to set aside a giant box of space for this thing, probably like 2 feet by 2 feet, and it's huge. Wingspan even more so, it's probably closer to 3 feet. I mean, you can take a look at this. Like, it is no slouch. This thing is huge. I think some people have had some problems with it being fragile. I was reading the Lego reviews saying that it was falling apart if you looked at it wrong. I don't know what those people are on, quite frankly. The only natural place to pick it up is putting your hand through the doors on the side and grabbing in the middle. That is the only natural place to pick it up. And it is very strong from there. So don't listen to that. It's nonsense. As you can see, it can sit by itself. Bit tippy. Like, I can do this with one finger very easily, tip it back, versus the front where it's very back heavy. The display stand also, I think, is pretty much perfect for what I would want. Just gives it a nice slight little rake. And I'm sure you've seen online elsewhere, there's just this white 2x2 rounded brick. You can kind of angle that around, and it just sits in there, doesn't connect to anything, and it just gives it a slight little rake, and it looks really good. This model certainly isn't minifig scale. It's probably about the right scale for maybe those old school Technic figures. But the scale seems kind of janky in certain areas, wherein the Technic figures would probably look good scale where the troops would stand in the open area. But they would certainly not fit in the little side ball turrets or the cockpit. You could put a minifigure in the cockpit and it looks fairly at home in there actually, but it's tight just the way that it's built. And finally, there is essentially no interior detail. You get little tiny cockpit seats and just basically some floor, a couple control panels, and the rail where troops can hang on in the interior. But other than that, there's really nothing, which is going to bring me on to what I think about it, I guess, and my overall, the value proposition, I guess, if you will. Because it is rather expensive, it's got some weird, unfounded, in my opinion, controversy around it. And it is sparsely decorated on the inside. And it is fantastically expensive. If you're into price per piece, you've probably looked at this one and thought it's absolutely insane. And I usually am that way. But when I built it, I came around on this one a lot. And I think it is worth the value. First of all, when you see it in the store, it is in a massive box, and it's only got it's got 3,000, over 3,000 pieces, which is a lot, but it's sitting in a box for like a 4,000 or 5,000 piece set, and you start head scratching and you tell yourself, you're like, Lego boxes are full of a lot of empty space like chip bags, and they're probably fooling you a little bit. But then you pick it up and I saw the UPS label. It was 16 pounds, that box. And when you build it, the pieces are huge, a lot of them. There's a ton of really big pieces. There's like all of these printed clear domes. There's 8 of those. There's these massive wedges. There's a bunch of those, a whole whack of 6x6 tiles. A lot of these pieces on these cannons are huge. And the plates on these, a lot of the plates are just massive, especially for the floors and the sides. These canopy pieces are quite large as well. More 6x6 tiles on top. Just a ton of really big parts, which do tend to drive the price up, but I think it's sort of fair enough. I mean, it takes more plastic to build one of these massive pieces than it does a stud, for example. It's completely reasonable. But then there is the issue of the sparsely decorated interior. And for me, that's fine as well. You're buying an Ultimate Collector's Series set. It's meant to be a display piece. It's the same when people complain about the cannons and stuff falling off. And the back one admittedly does fall off from time to time. It's pretty finicky. And so do these the manned turrets. They do fall off if you fiddle with them too much. But it's not a play set. It's meant to kind of sit there, and it's sturdy enough. It's not going to fall off if you look at it wrong. It's not really meant to be played with, so I don't really see the issue there. Seems like a bit of a silly argument. So overall, I think this set is great. I loved it, honestly, and I'm so happy to have picked this up on May the 4th. I didn't pick it up from lego.com because their website is garbage on release days, as I'm sure we are all painfully aware. From Costco, cheaper there anyways also. It's expensive, but I feel really satisfied, and I find some UCS sets to be a bit hit or miss. I've had a few in my life. I've had the TIE Fighter, the Slave One, and I have had the UCS Millennium Falcon in a previous life. I had to sell it to move. But this one's really good. It's up there. I think Slave One still tops it, but this is probably my second favorite so far then. Millennium Falcon's just way too big. Now the TIE Fighter's kind of boring. But if you're on the fence about this one and you've been saving up, I would recommend it, I think. Especially if you're a big fan of the movies. My impression or my understanding is this isn't very accurate to the Clone Wars TV show because I think the doors cover the whole side in that show. This is an Attack of the Clones set, as is illustrated in the instructions. There's lots of info about and concept art about Attack of the Clones, which I grew up in that era when the prequels were just coming out. I was probably like 10 or something. And I think Attack of the Clones I just rewatched it recently, and it's up there for one of my favorite movies. And just having this gunship when the clones are still the good guys, it comes into Geonosis Arena and saves Anakin and Obi-Wan and Padme. Such an awesome scene, and the fans voted this set in. I think it's super cool, super unique. Building experience is awesome. I feel like it's a good value. And the final product, I don't think I could ask for more. I think this is an amazing set. And if you are on the fence about it, I would recommend it. It's very nice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, would love to see a like. Hit the subscribe button. That won't cost you $500, I promise. And stay tuned for more. We got more good stuff coming all the time. But for now, I will say thank you very much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day and take care. Bye-bye.